My father-in-law refused to acknowledge my baby until I signed a waiver promising a DNA test, because our son's eyes were the wrong shade of blue. It was the most insulting moment of my life. But he didn't know that my quiet, elderly mother-in-law was sitting right there holding a massive secret. It was Thanksgiving, a day meant for gratitude. But my father-in-law, Richard, had other plans. We were sitting around his mahogany dining table, the turkey already carved, when he slid a crisp white envelope toward me. He didn't look at my husband, Mark. He looked right at me. He said, "Before we add the little one to the family trust, we need proof." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. "Proof? It's a paternity test," Richard said, his voice cold as ice. "Our family has blue eyes. Always have, for 4 generations. Your son has dark, soulful brown eyes. It just doesn't add up." The room went silent. Mark, my husband, turned bright red. "Dad, that is enough. That is my son." But Richard just held up a hand, silencing him. He told us he wasn't about to hand over the $50,000 college fund he'd promised unless I submitted a swab. It wasn't a request. It was an accusation. That's when Margaret, my mother-in-law, stood up. She was 78 years old, usually the quietest person in the room. But her chair scraped against the hardwood like a gunshot. She looked at her husband, and she didn't look scared. She looked tired. "Richard," she said, her voice shaking just a little, "do you really want to open this door?" He laughed, a smug, arrogant sound. "Don't be dramatic, Margaret. It's just biology." Margaret pulled a locket from inside her blouse. She didn't open it. She just slammed it onto the table next to the DNA kit. "My father, your own father, passed away 20 years ago," she said, her eyes locked on his. "But I think you should know. The man who raised you, he wasn't your biological father." The air left the room. Richard went pale. "What are you talking about?" "It happened in 1946, she continued, her voice gaining strength. "He found out he was sterile. He chose to raise you. He loved you, Richard, even though you weren't his flesh and blood. And you have spent your entire life bragging about your superior bloodline. You've judged everyone who didn't look like you, when the entire foundation of your life is built on a lie." She wasn't done. She looked at me, then at Mark, then back to her husband. "I have the original letters, Richard. I have the receipts. And if you force this DNA test on our grandson, I will call our lawyer, and I will publish the truth to the entire family." Richard stared at her, his mouth open, but no words came out. He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. We left 10 minutes later. We didn't take the check. We didn't need it. But we did take the peace of mind knowing that, sometimes, the truth has a way of balancing the scales.